The revolution will not be televised.
The revolution will be streamed live.
What's up, everybody? It's another episode of Critical in Thinking. I'm Ty Barnett.
I'm Ian Harris, and hey, Ty, we got a guest on today. Very good friend of mine. We work Dragon Con, which for all you nerds out there, you already know. For those of you who don't know, Dragon Con is it's like Comic Con. I don't even know what you mix it with. Anyway, it's crazy cosplay. It's like 4 days. It's 70,000 people doing all nerd shit in Atlanta every year, and we do comedy and panels for the skeptic panel and the science panel, and she's just a phenomenal comedian, and she's co-hosted the Neil deGrasse Tyson Star Talk. She's just phenomenal. Leighann Lord, welcome, Leighann.
Hey.
That's right. You get a standing ovation.
Listen, I will take every single bit of it that I can. It all adds up. It's cumulative. And by the way, I always refer to Dragon Con as Comic Con on steroids.
Yeah, it's the cosplay stuff is out of control there. I will say, like,
it is.
I'm not a cosplay guy myself. I don't personally.
You don't dress up?
I don't cosplay.
Wait,
I don't have a problem with cosplay. But
wait, Leighann, do you dress up?
I have not in the past, but I've been talking to it this year.
Oh, really?
What are you going? Wait, what are you going as? Who are you?
Although let me put a caveat there. Me and Ian always do the skeptics, the parade, the Dragon Con parade. But I don't know if that really counts as cosplay.
No.
And when I do that, I'm Ida B. Wells.
Yeah, and I'm always Albert Einstein.
And you do a great Albert Einstein. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's the only time we do it, but we have to do that for the parade. Like, you got to walk around as a parade.
You know, there's a school in Chicago. Actually, it was a project in Chicago called Ida B. Wells.
Oh yeah,
seriously, based on
Wells Street.
Yeah, but like we didn't, and as kids, we didn't even know that this person was a real person. We just thought there was.
Of course not.
Well, because they don't teach you that stuff.
Not at all.
I don't think she's white. Maybe that's the problem.
Not at all. Do they teach you that? So
no, not at all. Like when I was asked to do it, I was like, okay, Google. Who's Ida B. Wells?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I do not. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd depending on what the thing is. Like, I'm more so Star Wars than Star Trek and all that, but I don't dress up. The closest I get to dressing up is that I wear a lot of vest. So that's my tribute to Han Solo.
Okay.
That's where I go. It's as close as I get.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
And I have hair on my chest. So that's my tribute to Chewbacca. So
I think you mean.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I meant you. That's what I meant. I don't know. I'm Team Furry. So, Chewbacca, the Ewoks.
That's right. Thank you for getting those Ewoks in there. That's right. Product placement.
It's crazy. Like the first year we had, do you remember this, Leighann? It was like 4 a.m. I don't know what day it was. It was like Friday or Saturday, whatever. I think it might have been the first day we were there. We met and we were wandering around and we was like, it had to be 3, 4 a.m. and we walked into that one room. And it was completely packed, like thousands of people. And there was a DJ, and everyone was like, do you remember that? There were people dancing and shit. And there was like, it was people dressed up in costumes and shit, like full robot outfit, like full on, probably cost them 20 grand to make themselves a robot. Do you remember that? Damn. Like, it was just like, what the fuck? It's 4 a.m. and these people are like rave DJ shit in costume, and we were like, okay, all right.
What do they call it? What's the thing that they do? I mean, I know it's not what you guys do, but what do you call it when people dress up in costumes and it's for sex? Like, what is it? It's a term for that. Like it's a convention that they go.
I just know it's role playing, but I don't know what the
but people dress up in like bunny costumes type things. Man, I can't remember the name of that. What?
Furring. Oh yeah,
furring. That's what it's. Yeah. Furry.
Okay.
Furry. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know it's crazy.
But okay.
But I mean, so when he said 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, wait a minute. So they just dress up in costumes.
You know what? You could tell when it's 4 a.m. and there's a bunch of people in costumes. What they're doing is they're shaking their ass burgers.
Hilarious. Hilarious.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
That joke was brought to you by Ian Harris, maker of Critical in Thinking. Well, thank you, first of all, for being here. I appreciate this. And, anybody that's associated with Neil deGrasse Tyson, to me, first of all, you're an outlaw, you're a rebel, and you're a witch. So
Wow. Wow.
you
So
can't.
now
You can't.
I don't have a problem with that last one because in certain societies, I can now be burned at the stake because I ruined somebody's crop. So, and that like could happen in our time frame.
It doesn't it seem like that? Like so. Let me ask you something.
No, it doesn't just feel like that. It is like that.
It is like that. Yeah, I think that's Trump's next policy. We're going to be bringing back witch burning. There's a lot of witches going on.
So let me ask you this: as somebody who is so closely tied in with somebody who does believe in science, what is the hardest thing for you to believe nowadays? As someone that believes in facts, what is the hardest thing that you shake your head at nowadays, seeing what's going on in our society?
Well, I'm about to say something really inappropriate. I maybe feel like I have palsy because I don't stop shaking my head at what's going on right now. Like it's on constant junkie nod right now.
Hilarious.
Like, is this really happening?
Yeah, it's really over the top. Like, but yeah, I have a hard time thinking of one thing myself that is.
Yeah. It's hard to narrow it down. You almost have to categorize it by the level of inhumanity. Like it's on a DEFCON scale.
You got to put it at
Right.
1A, B, C, D. You got to put all these different.
Right.
Damn.
Right. I mean, it's where I wish that, my sci-fi, my love of sci-fi were actually real and that the mothership is coming any day now to rescue
We just got to
me
ride
and get
this
me
out.
of
That's
this
all.
bullshit.
It'll be here any second. We just got to ride it out.
Well, 1984 is real right now. So
What was that?
I said 1984, Orwell. It is real right now. we are actually in that. We're very close to don't believe your own brain.
Don't
anymore.
believe your lion eyes.
yeah,
Your
exactly.
lion eyes and ears.
He actually said that.
Yeah.
Trump said that. He said, "Don't believe what you see or hear. Believe me." But I see and hear you.
And you know what? I don't want to. I'm sitting here going, is this really happening? And,
Yeah.
and my thing is, where are the grown-ups? And I know we're supposed to be the grown-ups, but I still don't feel like we're the grown-ups.
No.
Because I work in entertainment and I've been allowed to have an extended adolescence.
Mhm.
But like, I feel like back in the day, there were grown-up adult diplomat professional people that went, okay, now.
Yep. Somebody would be the gatekeepers of common sense. Somebody.
Right, and they would rein it in. And don't get me wrong, I'm from the 80s. I'm all about greed. I came into adulthood believing that the one who dies with the most toys wins. That was the
Well, that is still kind of true.
Yeah.
But in the wrong way.
Formative. But no, those are my formative years. But I also knew the other side of it. You can't have all the pie. Because that's when the revolution starts.
That's right.
You got to let people feel like they have something, or people start building guillotines and knitting quilts in the public square.
And that's
they just.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Leanne.
I was just going to say they've just lost all perspective on their greed and inhumanity.
Yeah.
Completely insane.
Yeah, and you know what? What trips me out, one of the biggest things that I've taken away from all this is that the bar keeps getting moved, it keeps getting lowered, and things that you didn't even think. Like, let me tell you a little real quick backstory. The movie Idiocracy. Me and Ian have known each other for I don't know how many years now, and he would always mention this. We'd be on road trips, and he would tell me about this movie, and I had never seen it before. And we said, "Man, you got to see this movie. It's crazy." This is before Trump got elected. This is before all that.
Before President Camacho.
Yeah, exactly. But right. So yeah, exactly. So he would tell me this about this movie, and so one day I finally ended up watching it probably about a year ago, and as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh shit. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, oh wow. Oh shit. Hey, this is why he brought it up. And that's my biggest thing that I've taken away from what I'm seeing now, because as a person that as comedians, what we put on stage, like I can only put something out there if it makes sense comedically or rationally. That's it. Like I can't say shit that doesn't make sense to me unless I'm trying to do it for a joke. But
right.
So to me, when I see what's happening in society, I'm always like, wait a minute, man. So we're just throwing out all rationale now. Everything is out. So to me, when I watch that movie and I compare it to what we're seeing now, Steven Seagal, bro. First it was Dennis Rodman, which you kind of let Dennis Rodman go. It was like, okay, he's Steven Seagal, bro.
Right.
What the fuck is happening?
Well, remember.
Wait. Did I blink? Did something happen? Because I haven't watched the news in 2 days.
Yes,
you didn't know the Steven Seagal? Oh, tell her the Steven Seagal.
Well, no, yeah, I forgot what the appointee, but Putin appointed Steven Seagal some sort of ambassador to karate or something. I don't know.
Hilarious. No, he appointed him an ambassador to help fix American-Russian relations.
Yeah, Steven Seagal.
What?
Yeah, this is for real. Steven Seagal.
I'm sorry. Oh, wait. Steven Seagal.
Marked for death. Above the law. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That dude.
Right now, it's over the waistband, though, with that guy. Have you seen it?
Muffin top.
Wait, was the dude from Cyborg busy? I don't understand.
Well, yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme. The problem is that he's from Brussels, so that's not we can't have him.
Can't do that.
Okay,
Can't do that.
But is Jean-Claude Van Damme from Russia? Did he fight Russians in his movies? Am I confused?
See, exactly.
I have no idea why Steven Seagal. Although the funny thing about this is totally true. Like, I've in the past I was like, oh, Seagal. He makes up. He's a total liar. He makes up weird stories. He's gotten ridiculously obese, and he's fully full of himself. Like, he's completely narcissistic. So for years, I know for those who want to correct me, I know he doesn't do karate. I know he does Aikido. But for years, I've called him Karate Trump.
Karate Trump.
And now it's hilarious that he's actually Putin's buddy, and he's doing he's an ambassador.
So you better hope. Yeah, you better hope that these relations stay on point, because if not, I'll chop you in your fucking neck. And I'll make a sequel about it.
Right.
That's my Steven Seagal. Yeah.
Out for treason.
Wow.
Yeah, this is what's really happening, Leighann.
I really feel like we're in this very surreal place. Yeah. And, you gave, that example. But I think for me, what I find particularly shocking to the system, my personal system, is the open racism. I mean, it's always been there, and it's one of those things. You get up in the morning, you have your breakfast, you go to work. There's racism. I mean, you just kind of understood that this was an underlying simmering theme.
She said it like it's a neighbor. Hey, racism. Hey,
right? It's your wacky neighbor, and now it's the whole freaking neighborhood.
No, I know.
Just open.
Yeah.
And then this crazy couple. I can't go through a day and not stop myself from saying, now if Obama had said that,
yep,
right, done that, and it's just I'm looking at these two human beings, and I'm probably overstating it for our current president. But it's like, wow, did we lower the bar
a lot?
And that's okay because he's a rich white guy.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Let me tell you something. This bar has been lowered so low that you'd have to dig it up to step over it. Do you understand? Right. That's how crazy it is. So
this bar is unfit for a limbo contest.
That's right. This is unlimboable.
This bar is now a pipeline.
Yes, there you go.
Literally and figuratively.
That is how low it is. You should post that.
Right.
But
they're going to run through a protected area.
Yes,
right.
This is nice.
Make it out of lead.
That's right. Standing Rock, we got you beat.
Yeah.
So here's what's crazy when I look at this, and like I said, as being a comedian as well. So you found that it is harder for you to do what you do as a not only as a comedian but as a female comedian, because I know there's a lot of different things going on at the same time in society. There's racism, there's the Me Too, there's the idiots who don't believe facts, there's the people who get easily triggered when you say certain things. So what do you find is the hardest thing for you now as someone out there in the public and talking to people publicly?
Now, do you mean just in the day-to-day or on stage?
Both.
Yeah, it's all harder now. Which I couldn't imagine it getting any harder, but it certainly has, because I find that now, we know that 53% of married white women voted for this current president.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell what you look like. You know what I mean? So now I'm looking at all of y'all funny.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I kind of feel like
All y'all suspect.
right. The same way all black people look suspect, and we're painted with one brush. And now I feel like I'm doing that to them, and I don't mean to, but I can't trust you
Yep.
because I saw Charlottesville, and these look
see?
like dudes I went to school with, or work with, or pass on the street, or see at the mall. They look normal.
Yep. And that's
Yeah, so it's not. It's almost like in the Me Too movement. It's not. You know, the dude with the overcoat that jumps out of the bushes. That's never that dude.
nope.
No.
It's always the nice looking dude in the suit.
Mm-hmm.
You go, him? Yeah, him.
That's your barista. That's your barista. That's the dude who was just a second ago. He was at the march, and now he's handing you a macchiato. That's what it is.
Exactly. So it really does feel like on guard, paranoid. What the hell? Because you never know. And then it amps up that other thing that I feel Black folks and women have always had, which is when something happens to you. You know, somebody says something. There's an incident. You have that double thought. Like, was that racist or was that somebody just being an asshole? Like, you always have that double thought, like, why did this just happen? And the time that it takes you to think that, it adds up over time and why we are sicker and have a shorter lifespan. Because it takes real time off of you. And so I think that happens now even more. Like, you're like, okay, what was the motivation behind that? What is going on? Who do I complain to? And who do you complain to when, you know, all of the agencies that are supposed to protect us have been shut down and co-opted?
Well, and the downside, the further downside to that is now that line is grayer because it is overt. Racism and sexism is far more overt now than it used to be because it's okay to be, you know, that's what Trumpsters call not being politically correct, is being able to actually say certain words out loud. Whatever. But now the problem is now if you do misjudge a situation and a person is just being an asshole, all that does now is feed into the fire on the other side of, it's reverse racism. Everything's racist. Oh, you're going to pull the race card. Or the one I love is race baiting. Oh, you're race baiting. I'm like,
pointing out the racist act is race baiting.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. So now it's like you guys have that on the other hand where it's like now when it isn't racist or sexist or whatever, that other side goes, aha. See?
Yeah.
See? Oh, there it is. There it is. You pulling that card on us again.
And what about on stage?
What's weird is that in New York, within the same city, you can have an audience of just New Yorkers who are largely liberal, educated, and get it, whatever it happens to be. Or you could be at another club where it's mostly tourists. Many from the United States, some from, overseas, and that's actually a very different set of opinions right there. And you can always tell when they are uncomfortable with political material. Like if you even breathe that you're going in that direction, it's like they seize up and they can't breathe. Like what are you going to say? What's going to happen? You're going to make me uncomfortable. I don't like this. So it's made truth telling through comedy. Which I think that's what comedy is, a large part of what comedy is.
That's what it's supposed to be.
That's what it's supposed to be. It's made that truth-telling more difficult and equally still as necessary to be done.
Well, and is it what I always find so strange? I mean, I guess Ty and I, we always talk about how. I mean, I hate calling it both sides because it's like, why are we on sides where we're all supposed to be working together here? But we all know what we mean when we say both sides. But it's this thing where the right wing, that group of people, they always want to call something hypocrisy when they're the ones being hypocritical. It's very weird. And the one that drives me nuts is with their whole thing is not being PC. Freedom of speech. Oh, look at these kids in Berkeley. Oh, they're not letting Milo speak or whatever the fuck that guy's name is. Oh, and look at these people. They're banning this and they're letting. Alex Jones is off YouTube and free speech, free speech, free speech. Meanwhile, they throw a fucking fit about Colin Kaepernick. And if you even mention the word Trump on stage, there's people going, oh, I don't want to, you
Here
can't say
we
that.
go.
And it's like, wait a second. I thought you were these
Free speech people.
Yeah, what happened to free speech? Oh, I get it. Your speech. You want to be able to say what you say. It's like, it's free for you, but it's not free for the rest of us. It's crazy. And you point that out to them and they'll go, oh, well, you guys, they'll say that we're being hypocritical. Oh, you want Colin Kaepernick to be able to take a knee, but Alec Jones can't have his thing.
The false equivalency, I don't know what the word, the fact that they think the two are even close is to me, honestly, and this is why, and because I keep trying to explain this to people, and for some reason they don't understand this. The major problem with this country is because it's never acknowledged the problem with this country. They don't understand, and people hate when I say this, Ian. They hate when I say this. America was founded on greed, genocide, lying, and deceit. All of that. Now again,
and slavery,
but all that
is part of that,
all the 1A, 1B, 1B.
A subset.
It's all. But the fact that it was founded off of that, and we don't acknowledge that, should tell you why we are where we are, because people think that we started this and it was this kumbaya thing and we all love each other. No, this was founded off taking something from people. This was founded off of, hey, we're denying you something and giving everything to these people. And this is why I say this is the only reason I can kind of understand where races are coming from. This is the only reason I can understand. If you were raised your entire life being told that everything is yours, everything belongs to you, you are the best, you deserve all of this, and then all of a sudden somebody comes along and says, no, you got to share this now. In their minds, they're like, no, we stole this fair and square.
Right.
So to them, this is why they're fighting for this. And this is honestly why I feel this is what's at the core of why this dude has been allowed to get away with what he gets away with. I asked somebody, I posted something about David Duke speaking at a Unite the Right rally, which again, I don't understand why Grand Wizard is speaking at a rally period in 2018. But when I pointed this out, do you understand? Somebody got on my page and said, well, what about Farrakhan? Now, let me explain something to you.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Again, the false equivalency.
And how many people really take Farrakhan seriously?
No,
anyway.
Right, but here's my point, though. This dude went after Farrakhan. He went after Obama. Let me tell you what he didn't say. He didn't mention Alex Jones being bad, and he didn't mention David Duke being bad.
Right.
That tells you their mentality, because to them, they don't see David Duke as bad.
Right.
They don't see that Alex Jones as bad, because these dudes are fighting for something that they believe that they still have the rights to.
Right.
That's why we still have this problem. That's why it's never going to go away.
Well,
Go ahead, Leighann.
Well, there's so much here. First of all, this tells you the damage that a poor education does to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, these are the children. These are the adult children who never learned the real history of their country. How do you not understand that this is stolen land?
Yeah.
How do you not understand? You look at the Iran nuclear deal, and the United States kept saying that, oh, they're not going to honor the treaty. They're not going to honor the treaty, and it's like, when has the United States honored a treaty to its Native American population?
Exactly.
When has one of those treaties been honored? So are you really afraid somebody else is not going to honor, or are you projecting because you have a history of not?
And meanwhile, they have. I mean, it's the thing is, like, you and I, Leighann and I know each other again from the nerd world, but from the atheist world, the skeptic world, humanist, whatever it is, the non-religious world. And I've dealt with this which is really the same group, but the American, Christians, the right-wing Christians, where they honestly, there's been polls, white Christian Americans, I'm not making this up, hold on to yourself, they believe they are the most discriminated against group in America.
More than black folks.
Yeah. No, white Christians are the most discriminated because Starbucks doesn't have Jesus on the cup, and because someone said, "Hey, I'm Jewish, happy holidays." So therefore, they're what I always say is that when you are used to privilege, equality feels like oppression.
Yes.
And that's what it is. And these people, they don't understand that.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, I'm glad you brought in, the religious aspect, because we are having what I'd like to think is a logical, factual dialogue. And that almost never changes anyone's mind.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been primed religiously. I mean, if you're talking a group that the overlap of the people who think that, they're privileged, they're white, this is their right, I bet you a significant number of those folks are religious. And so they believe something that they've been taught from their childhood and they've never questioned it. Nope. And they believe in this imaginary world. And so you're not going to dissuade them from that either. And I think those two mindsets are just what's going against us here.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Because again, like I said, when you've been told something, which is weird to me, and I think I actually mentioned this on the last episode, it's weird to me that these religious people come in and they say, well, we follow the letter of the Bible to the everything. We mean everything that's in the Bible. And then you say, okay, well, can you explain to me why you have that picture up of that blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy? And it's like, well, that's Jesus. Like, no, because in the book, it says he had bronze skin and hair of lamb's wool. Well, you can't really get caught up in the semantics of the words.
Yeah.
And you see what I'm saying? Like, so to me, they still want to box stuff in this thing to make it look like they are the ones that are right. So when they talk about being persecuted, it's all bullshit to me.
Well, yeah, it's the back to the gay wedding cake people. It's like, well, you're violating their religious liberty by forcing them to sell a cake to a gay person, which is so bizarre. But when was the last time that guy stopped selling a cake to a wedding that was going to happen on a Saturday? Saturday's a Sabbath. You can't work on a Saturday. When was the last time that they stopped selling a cake to somebody who had sex before marriage, or who was their second marriage, or who had a fucking tattoo, or a guy who signed the fucking his wedding cake check with his left hand, which is punishable by death in the Bible. So you're gonna
you're
getting too literal with this. Okay,
I was going to accuse him of being too logical as well. Again, you're whipping out fat for people that aren't,
Now let us go back to cherry picking, please.
Right. And what it boils down to, which is I'm fine with if every cake he makes is cherry filled. Where'd you get all these cherries from? I've been picking them for a long time. Make some cherry cake. But it's like, it boils down to, I don't like gay people. Gay people are icky. Therefore, I don't, and it's like, so quit pretending. It's the same thing. Oh, we don't, Obama this, Obama that. His wife wore a shirt with no sleeve, a dress with no sleeves, but they're okay with Trump and grabbing people by the pussy. 17 allegations of sexual,
naked pictures of the first lady.
3 wives, fucking porn stars, all this kind of shit. The evangelicals are okay with that.
Because it's their guy.
Because their tribe is more important than their religion.
But that's what I was telling you is that in their mind, and this goes back to the history of this country. They are used to a white male face being in charge. Do you understand the worst thing Obama did? The worst thing Obama did was not be a fuck up. That's the worst fucking thing Obama did, because they couldn't pick those things apart in him. Yeah. So they say, okay, well, let's just put anybody in there now. That's why this guy is being allowed, because they're used in their minds. Again, the history of this country is based off of one demographic being the all-powerful one. So that's why this guy is being allowed to do this. The problem is for these guys, and you said it actually, Ian, is that what you said, this is their last stand.
Oh, the last stand of the angry white man?
Yeah. So the fact that that's why they're letting a lot of this stuff go. That's why they're turning a blind eye to this type of stuff, because this is how they hold on to what they stole.
But at what point do these mental contortions cost you personally?
Right. Oh, they'll feel it. Believe me, the middle class and the lower class, they're going to feel it. Believe that.
They would not have made all of these exemptions for Obama.
Not at all.
No. Or anybody else of color.
The dude wore a tan suit and they went off. Do you understand? He wore a tan suit. But it was Armageddon in this bitch.
And the thing is, what drives me crazy when people say it's not about racism. Now, maybe you don't know it's about racism. Maybe you don't know you're racist. But it's so obvious that now that the overt racism has come out. I saw yesterday there was
even racism is saying, it's about me, you guys.
Yeah, exactly. I'm cool, present. But I saw an ad. Somebody posted an ad on Craigslist yesterday. They posted it on Facebook, but it was a Craigslist ad where a guy was saying, "I got 350 white people already
Ready for war.
armed, and I'm looking for more people because we need to protect. Well, here's something I don't get. I know Carlin actually talked about people who are like proud. I'm proud to be Irish. Really? What about your two parents fucking? Are you proud about or whatever? It's like you're proud of a heritage. Why do anyone? But it seems to be a lot of white people. Why do you care if like you had nothing to do with being white? Like why do you care? Why does it matter so much if in 300 years there ain't gonna be no white people left? Who the fuck cares? Like, how does that affect you?
You're here. You're still here. Right. Why are you worried about this?
And what if you weren't? Who the fuck cares?
This is,
Your kids are going to be your kids. Your grandkids are going to be your grandkids. They're still going to have your DNA just because. And first off, nobody in this country is fucking pure of anything. I mean, we've all got a million. Go do a DNA test. But it's like, why does anyone care so much about where their ancestors came from and what that DNA? It has nothing to do with you as a human.
It's a false setup. Again, we human beings are naturally, or whatever the right phrase is here, tribal.
Right.
We group. We will find any reason to group, whether it's side of the street or sports team or zip code or something. We're going to find some flag to rally around and never question its validity or its importance. This whole DNA, like, oh, I'm proud I'm Irish, I'm proud of this. How are you living right here, right now? Not to quote Oprah, but are you being your best self? Like, is this really the best you can do?
Right.
Is this really what you want? Is this really how you want to spend your time and energy? Like, it's like trolls. Like, don't get trolled. I sit down on my computer and I'm like, wait, I just want to do something for 5 minutes. 5 hours later, and I'm straight working. And I consider social media to be work.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
I really do.
Good rationalization.
Yes.
What?
I said good rationalization there. Okay.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm just
I
joking.
actually do that. I consider myself my own social media manager, and
There you
I'm
go.
working my shit, because no one else is going to do it. But even, that's the portal to get work done.
Right.
How do you have time to, if there's something that you don't like, I barely have the time to enjoy the things I like.
I know.
But then to go out and viciously comment on things I don't like, I just, like, how do you have free time for that?
Ian said something, and I'm still laughing about it. A couple weeks later, he said that you say you post and run. He said that's how he avoids the being on there for 5 hours.
Otherwise, I will be on there for hours because then if I post something, somebody will be like, well, Trump, Obama did this in her emails. And then it's like, fuck. And I'm like finding facts and I'm like Snopesing things and putting up all this. And then like 3 hours later, I'm like, fuck, I'm sitting here arguing with a fucking idiot. And my thing is, this is what I do for a living. Like you said, being on social media is part of our job, being entertainers, being comedians. How do these other fucking people do it? Like, I'm always like, don't you people have jobs?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Clearly, they're not being done well.
Right, exactly.
American
ingenuity.
I think my, like my Facebook page, for example, I think it's very curated with people who like me. And I'm okay with that.
Right.
But every now and then, I'll post something and somebody will wander over. They're clearly wandering.
That's right. Let me try to fuck up Leanne's day.
Right. And I don't disallow, competing opinions. I'm fine with that. Yeah. But you have to be an adult. We're not going to go straight to the ad hominem attack.
Right.
We're going to talk like grown-ups. That's how we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do that, you got to go. And these folks, usually they open on the attack instead of with any sort of cogent point. And every time I look and say, well, who is this? I look, we are not friends.
Nope.
Right.
And it's a white guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Every time without fail. And so before I invest my resources in argument, I block, delete, move on with my life. Because there are going to be too many times when I have to fight than to invest in idiocy.
No, you're right. And that is the best way. I'm not saying
it's best. I'm not saying it's best because Ian, some of the best arguments in the world I've seen on your page. Like you go in. Like if there can be no character limit for you.
No. But here's what I do like about what Ian posts is that Ian will not post anything if he has not looked into it. And that to me, and that to me is the problem with where we are now. And I'm talking about as a society, period. Like so many people are so quick to pick whatever narrative fits their point. And that's where we get into this area of, oh, well, what about your facts? No. 2 plus 2 is still 4, bro. It's still 4. There is no alternative universe.
So you trust the American Mathematical Society? You know who funds them?
Exactly.
Do you know that George Soros paid for those math books so he can make 2 plus 2 whatever he wants?
And they sold them out of a pizza joint where they was molesting kids.
Well, again, I want to say it goes back to education or lack thereof.
Yeah.
You know, we have not taught in any mass way critical thinking skills, debate skills.
No.
We haven't taught, you know, the art of discourse. We haven't taught logic. If you turn on TV, I remember I did a little experiment a few years ago. I said, you know, I really feel like I need to be more informed. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch the Sunday talk shows. That experiment lasted about a day because I would turn it on and it was, you know, talking heads shouting a point, host coming in, break the commercial, come back, different topic completely.
Yeah, how do we just leave that topic alone? No one talked.
Yeah, we didn't resolve anything.
We haven't resolved anything. We haven't explained anything. We just, again, and this was pre-Twitter, people were already shouting in sound bites. And again, it was shouting, and the person that had the best quote is the one who clearly must be right. We have raised a generation and a half on that type of reporting and TV watching. And so you can't expect these people, or any of us to develop these skills if you haven't done it on purpose, to watch and think critically, to say, okay, what did they not say here? What did I not hear from?
And also understand, the biggest thing too is understand where your facts come from. Because I know people that think fairly critically, and they're on the right path, but sometimes that leads to like the crazy conspiracy theory thing because they go, oh, I'm going to question everything. But their idea of questioning everything is denying everything that fits their narrative, and they call that questioning everything. So you could say, well, here's 5 studies that show that XYZ is fine for you. It's not going to cause cancer or whatever, like, you know, this preservative or whatever it is that you're afraid of, yellow number 5 or whatever the fuck it is that your big health kick is or your political kick is. And they'll be like, oh, well, who did those studies? You go, good question. It's always good to see who did the studies. Let's look it up and let's look and see if it was peer reviewed. And if it was how the study was done, was it double-blind study? Was it this? Was it that? And if that's done, honestly, it doesn't necessarily matter who funded the study. If it was peer-reviewed, double-blind, it doesn't matter. The Koch brothers everybody gives money to things for tax write-offs and fun stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing their bidding. It doesn't mean that they're not doing their bidding either. So it's like when people go, oh, well, Snopes, George Soros gives money to Snopes and he's a liberal, so therefore Snopes has a liberal bias. No, not necessarily. If you set up the organization to not have any bias, or as little bias as possible, and you set up the system, the scientific method to check and balance those things, you're going to get the best answer. And it's good to be critical and go, okay, well, let's see who backed this. Let's see where this came from. But once you realize, okay, it was done properly and it's been done 4 different times by 4 different groups. Like Ty and I were talking about this before we started. I was posting a thing about how the different media groups, the 3 different studies I saw, like, you know, not they were more like, you know, looking at long-term facts of what media outlets posted what or mentioned what things and what the facts were. And it was like, you know, Fox was 17% of the time factually correct.
17.
Yeah, 17%. MSNBC was like 30-some%. CNN was 50%. And then like NPR and BBC were in the 90%. And it was 3 different things it said. And I posted that to my friend because he was like, oh, you believe CNN? You believe CNN? And I'm like, well, first off, no, I don't watch CNN. But second of all, they are more than double
Fox.
As accurate as Fox. And he goes, well, where'd you get that? I go, here's 3 separate studies. He goes, well, who did those? I go, look and see. And he looks at it and he goes,
do your own research.
Yeah, he goes, well, whose facts are those?
Yeah.
Whose facts are those?
Yeah, but when I said, look, there are 3 different companies, 3 different independent groups that are not run by anybody necessarily. One was a government agency. One was like some other, group that's what they do is they check for factual accuracy in the media. And those 3 different groups did the research, and they were almost all exactly the same as to who reported the facts most. And I said, all this is they're looking at the facts and saying who reported it factually accurate. And the response was from several of my Trumpster type friends, okay, well, whose facts?
Yeah.
As in they're saying, okay, sure, they were 50% accurate or 98% accurate, but who's to say what's accurate? Who's to say that's what they were saying. Who's to say what's accurate?
Wow.
And it's like, well,
they're really bending over backwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
The contortion. They're contorting. And this is, and so I want to ask you this, Leighann, because like I said, I don't travel as much as I used to. Like I'll be honest with you, I haven't been to certain states since this election.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah. And I'm not missing it.
Not at all. Not at all. When you go to certain places and you perform, or when you talk in front of people, how do you can you look at them as they're speaking and then you think, man, you're gone. You're gone. Like there's nothing I could say to you. Or do you just kind of say, you know what, I think I can fix this person. I can give this person.
Well, interesting you should say that. I, for a long time, considered myself a bit of an ambassador. You know, no one named me. You know, Russia didn't call. You know, but I travel.
Sorry, Steven Seagal already got the spot.
All right, exactly. But I traveled extensively, you know, around the United States, around the world. And a lot of times I ended up in a lot of places where I was the darkest thing to be there in ever. You know, not a lot of diversity. And there was this, I don't know, selfish part of me or this misguided part of me that was thinking, you know, they meet me. I'm smart. I'm funny. I'm a good person. If I'm the first Black person they've met, I've been an ambassador.
Yeah, right.
You know, I have planted a seed where they go, oh, it's not like everybody.
Not all of them are bad.
Exactly. You know, and this again, I was young. These were childish thoughts, and I say that because I remember sitting in my house election night and watching the states come in, watching the returns, and I'm literally sitting there going, but I performed there.
Right.
Oh wow.
I've met people there. Like how can you?
Wow.
And I know that's really incredibly selfish and childish and very
no. That's actually very insightful. That's because you're in your mind you're thinking, wait a minute, I met some of these people.
Right.
How?
Right. And
they didn't hate me then. Why do they hate me now?
Right. It hurt.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, damn. So my work did nothing.
No, but you know, and I think part of the reason why it did nothing is because again, this tribalism that people hold on to for so long. Again, you got to understand something, and let me put it on the other side. When let's talk about the quote unquote minority side. If you've been raised to believe you're inferior, if you've been raised to believe that you don't deserve the best, if you've been raised in a neighborhood where you have to sleep in a bathtub because of the bullets, if you live in a neighborhood where you got to worry about crime, you can't call the cops because you don't know whether they're going to do it. If you've been raised in that society your entire life, your mentality is going to be based off of that mentality. So when we come up and we see people, and this is why I say I think a lot of people think that if we do have the power as minorities, that we're going to implement the same hatred on them as they've done for all this time, as opposed to just looking at, and that's why you found those people still looking at you in the face, still smiling at what you're saying, still laughing at what you're doing, but still going to the polls and saying, fuck you, nigger. That's not gonna happen, and I hate to put it that harshly, but it is a reality of where we are.
There are people that are afraid. Well, shit, we fucked these people over for so long.
They think they're gonna get fucked over.
Well, yeah, because they're projecting. But you know, here's the other thing too: is that you have people out there that don't know how to look at. I mean, it's partly what we always talk about, empathy. But there's a lot of people out there who also just don't know how to look at things logically from the other way. Where I know people out there who will say. Like I'll tell them, I say, well, they go, why don't these people just, you can go to college, you can get this, and I say, I know kids in my neighborhood who they can get the best grades they can get. Okay, they might even get straight A's, but they're in a school that's an underperforming school. So that school, valedictorian at that school isn't looked at as top 10 of Westfield or Westlake or Harvard Westlake or whatever. So valedictorian doesn't mean shit. Then you get a kid who's got maybe straight A's, or A's and B's, but not the top in their class. And that kid is busting their ass because they live with their great grandma and 900 cousins, and 10 of them are gangbangers, and they're fighting in and out, and they got to walk themselves to school in a shitty neighborhood, and everyone's like, well, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. And it's like, you have no idea
they don't get it.
How hard that is when you have zero support. Your schools in your area have zero funding because schools are funded by the taxes in their area. And it's like, and you explain this to people and they go, oh man, that's just an excuse. It's like, no, you don't know.
No,
you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. And it's like, it's so much more difficult to pull yourselves up by your bootstraps if you're in these situations, and to expect that from people. And they'll go, well, this guy did it. This guy did it. And they'll point to people that did it. And you go, yeah, those people were incredible anomalies that were so you expect everybody to be this incredible, or else go fuck themselves? Like, it's crazy to me.
It's like, well, first of all, the people that are saying pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you look at their background and how much help they got, and they don't think of it that way.
Right?
They had some level of assistance,
right?
Some level of support. And I guess it's almost the same way that we look at age. Everyone thinks they're going to be the windsurfing 90-year-old, and that's not how aging works.
Right.
No.
And that goes back to that is not how economics works. Somebody asked me if I thought I was smart, if I thought I was a good student. And if you asked me that question maybe 5 years ago, I would have went, oh, hell yeah. I mean, I was, a valedictorian, scholarships to college, a summa cum laude, got the degree on the wall. Now I know that. Now I know that I just happened to be put into an educational system that suited the way I learned.
Yeah, right.
If I was more of a tactile learner, if I needed to learn from experience of being outside, I'd have been screwed. But I did well sitting at a desk reading a book, doing what I was told. So it suited me.
Right.
I was also very fortunate that I had two parents with jobs and let my mom stay home with me until I was 4.
Wow.
This made a huge difference in my development. My mother taught me how to read.
Yeah.
I never went hungry. I never wanted for anything. I mean, I didn't get a pony, but my dad's job and then eventually my mom's job allowed me to get a good education. And then they gave a crap about my education. They were like, where's your homework? What are you doing?
I thought you
all roll of the dice, luck of the draw.
I thought you were about to say then with your education you got a pony. I'm like, wow. Oh my God.
Well, right. I'm still working on it. I might convert the garage to a barn. There's like a whole lot of zoning permit things.
Hilarious.
But I remember meeting someone who, same circumstances, but her dad passed away when she was 14.
Oh,
that changed everything.
Yeah.
About the trajectory of her life and what opportunities she was able to take advantage of because it fundamentally changed the economics of their household. That could have been me.
Let me ask you something in reference to, because I know we got to get ready to let you get out of here in a second. Real quick, I want to get your thoughts on Chicago.
Steven Seagal.
Well, you better be.
Well, also let I want to hear some thoughts on a positive moving forward too. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Since I don't want to always be everything to be negative all the time. It would be nice
we look for the solutions on the show. we do actually.
Wow.
We do care.
Y'all should have given me a heads up. So
hilarious. She said she has no positives.
Positive.
No, but I mean, is there anything you see positive going on right now that
Oh, absolutely. I think what's happening, I see it as a positive that we are being cured of there's a phrase and I'm blanking on it. But it's the positivity politics, if you think you just behave yourself and go to school and do right, that society is going to accept you. And the fact that we have been disabused of that notion and realize, what racism really is. And now we can begin to confront it for the evil that it is. I think it's a positive. I think the pulling together of groups and communities going, no, we don't want to live like this. This is not how we want to live and how we want to be represented. I think that unity that is coming out of this disgrace is an absolute positive.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me personally, you know, I feel like I've taken a step back from the nonsense because, I mean, yes, you know, politics and community, all that's important, but my sense of community has gotten really small because I hate to say the phrase, I'm a caregiver now. I look after my parents, and your world, I think this is even true for parents, your world becomes very different when you're caring for somebody, when you're looking after somebody, and you're realizing, okay, this comes down to food, clothing, shelter, comfort, safety, security, and my visa bill is still due on the 28th, no matter what happens in DC.
Empathy.
You know,
you learn empathy. I've been saying this every podcast. I say the same thing: empathy, and you learn that you humility through a lot of stuff like that. Being a caregiver and stuff like that. You don't. And I'm glad that you. I'm glad that Ian switched gears just now to the positive aspects of this, because there was I was in a dark place for a minute when all of this shit started happening a couple years ago. But I think the part of me that was in a dark place not because of one person in office, but because of how people were treating each other as human beings in regular society.
Yeah.
So I will say what has come out of this negativity in this administration is the galvanizing of so many different people, because historically Black people have really been only the main ones that have been the brunt of all the animosity and the negativity. This administration has galvanized Black, middle class whites, poor whites, that can think and make sense, gay people, trans people, Jewish people, Hispanic people, Muslim. All of these people have come together and said, okay, well, shit, they don't really like any of us. So
it's literally Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
It is literally the gathering of the Jedi.
Yep.
Because the dark side has their shit together.
Yep. and this
we're running rebel bases.
Yep. That's exactly it. But that's why I think that's the good thing, and I'm hoping that going forward from here, that we will start looking at that. And this, the empathy that people need to have for each other is I can't even stress that enough, because when you think that only your life is the one that's important, then you make your decisions based off of that. Like, you don't understand how many people I've seen say, well, my 401k is fine, we're good. And that to me is one of the most selfish things that people can say, because they're looking at it like, man, my life is fine. But guess what? The person that is next to you, or the person that lives down the street, or the person that is giving care, or the person that is receiving care, these are the people that you all, because we're the United States. We're the United States. As you said, Ian, there shouldn't be sides. It should not be sides. No. It should be one United States. So real quick, I want to ask you real quick about, have you been to Chicago?
I've been to Chicago. I've had what they consider pizza. Not bad.
See, now get her off the phone. Get her off the phone. I know what she's trying to do. She's trying to jab pizza. Stop. I'm just kidding.
No, not at all.
Now there's three sides.
The deep dish side. No, but the reason why I brought that up is because I got into it with somebody the other day, because they live in California, Northern California, in their nice area, wine country, and they enjoy all their nice, sunny drives and stuff. And then they posted something about, where is all the outrage now about this violence? I don't see the people in these neighborhoods, And then when someone pointed out to them, yeah, they have been protesting the violence in their neighborhood, and the person was like, well, then, I got to blame the mayor. And I'm like, but why would you blame the mayor? Because the mayor is a local office. Why would you not blame the federal government? Oh, well, he can only do so much. You mean he's the local, but so my whole point of all of this is, if you had a way to fix Chicago, the violence in Chicago, what would it be?
Dude, really? This is an easy out question?
I got it, because I know what I personally believe in. I believe that part of it is the economics, part of it is the education, part of it is the surroundings that these kids grow up in, and this is all they see. Let me tell you something. When I growing up in Chicago, I didn't see a Whole Foods. I didn't see fruit stands. I didn't see manicured lawns. I didn't see trees. I did not see any of that. I had to go outside of my neighborhood to see that. So I know you've traveled. I know you've been to different places. You've met these different people. So if you had a fix-it pill, what would it be?
I think I'm on the same page as you. It to me, it's always follow the money. You know,
Right.
it always, to me, comes down to a function of where you spend the dollars, and that's for social services and for education.
Right.
You know, and it's like you don't spend money on books, and then you tease the kids that grow up and can't read. Like, what?
Right.
What are you doing?
Exactly.
You know, you have lots of teenage crime, because I'm in New York City. I'm in the hood. Okay, now this is like the hood plus, because this neighborhood is slightly recovered from the 2008 crisis, because all the black neighborhoods were hit. You think regular America was hit. Black America was hit doubly as hard.
That's right.
You know, from the housing crisis of 2008. It wrecked my neighborhood. And we weren't even really recovered from the crack epidemic of the 80s. So don't get me started.
Crack's like, don't forget about us.
Right. Well,
We're here in case you lose your house.
Yeah. But anyway, so you are going to, oddly enough, have a lot of teenage crime when there are no teams, when there are no after-school activities,
Right.
when there are no jobs. How can you be surprised when you don't have something occupying their time?
Well, why don't they just? Well, I don't understand why these people just don't send their kids to private schools then.
Solutions.
I would like, and this is probably not realistic, but for the children of elected officials to go to the schools in the worst areas.
Oh.
I want the politicians who are elected to live in the worst areas. I want you to
Nice.
live in housing, in public housing, in the worst building, because then how long will it be the worst building? And
Right.
then when that one gets better, the next year, your term, you go to the next one. So you see how people are living. You see what that quality of education is in real time, in a real tangible way. And now let's get it fixed.
You know what? I'm so glad you said that, because it made me think of Mayor Jane Byrne. You remember from Chicago? But she was a Chicago mayor. She went and stayed in Cabrini Green for 30 days. In 30 days, she stayed in Cabrini Green. And when she came out of Cabrini Green, guess what got better? Cabrini Green. Because, so it's so funny you just said that. That's what she did exactly as she went. I mean, mind you, she had guards, but she went and stayed in the projects and came out saying, oh shit, we really got to fix this situation.
Right.
So,
and you know what? A lot of that is proximity. Proximity creates empathy. You know, it's hard to think about the starving children and the this and the that. You can't see that because you're on your way to Starbucks.
Right.
Yep.
You know, so it's really easy to not see. But when you are there, when you're immersed, you know, even if it's just the 30 days, shit, for me to be 30 minutes and I'd be out.
Yeah.
That's a delicate power.
It's funny. It's funny. My daughter's at the elementary school she went to, which now is kind of it's an affluent area. Where we had to bus her into that. And I know I'm guilty of this because I wasn't sending my kid to the school in my neighborhood. You know, which I guess on some level I should have, but you know, I didn't want to be the guinea pig, but and it was literally like elementary school with bars on the windows and a no gun policy and what do you call metal detectors. But I said the school my daughter went to was like one of the top schools in all of California, but 10, 15 years ago, it was one of the worst schools, and it was in an area in West LA that we consider nice,
right.
But it's nice now. A few years ago, it wasn't so nice, and when the houses got cheap, people started buying houses there, and there's right near Fox Studios, so all these like rich movie type people started moving in, and all of a sudden they started sending their kid to the public school in the area and putting the time in and putting their own money in. They would do a thing where every year you had to give like $500 extra to the school, and they would raise like $500,000 just from the parents to pay for 2 extra teachers and all this kind of stuff. And that school got really good because of the parents' involvement. And it would be kind of cool if we had more money in education instead of like just necessarily paying the teachers, which I'm not saying we shouldn't pay the teachers, but that's what people think. Oh, more money, let's just pay the teachers. More money, let's find ways to bring buses back and do other stuff to where maybe what we can do is have every in LA we have this magnet program, so where there's all kinds of schools that have science magnet, and so you can go to any school you want in LAUSD if you do the permit right. eliminate the permit system and maybe bring people from all in. Kids from this neighborhood got to go to school over here. Kids from this neighborhood got to go to school over here. So you're a mixed. You don't just go to the school in your neighborhood where it's rich. You go to and all the schools get the same amount of money, and your kid gets to go to the school based on whatever lottery system, and then you're gonna find that parents are a lot more involved.
And they're a lot more understanding of other people's situation. We got bussed. We got bussed out of our neighborhood that we lived in to another. How
was that?
You know what? We hated it at the time because we was the first ones on, last ones off. But we really wanted to go to school in our neighborhood. And I can't even stress this enough. I tell my mom all the time, thank God you sent us outside, because that's what helped us see other cultures. That's what helped us understand other ways to live. So it was something that she saw down the road, was like, no, you don't want to be around these motherfuckers. I mean, you want to be around these motherfuckers. So
again, proximity and exposure. You have to diversify the number of experiences.
That's right.
I went out of my neighborhood for high school, and it was just 2 bus rides away. But it was a world away.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I qualified to get into a prep school, and they were drilling college from day one. So by the time I got to my junior year, and I'm talking with my friends in the neighborhood, the one that I have, they weren't doing anywhere near the level of work, or had the level of opportunities that I had. Wow. In my junior year of high school. And it was like, well, why not? I didn't understand that disparity. I do now. And that should not exist.
No, absolutely.
But it does. And then by the time you get to high school, it's almost too late.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's
too late.
To correct that.
So Leighann, first of all, let me say thank you for doing this. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. You have been awesome, a breath of fresh air. I love it. I love to hear people who have traveled enough and they have these different views of other cultures, as well as being aware of who they are. So first, tell people how they can find you, so we can.
Oh. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me on the show. I had no idea what to expect. That's my whole career. Show up, win, and do what? Okay. and you just roll with it. So this was absolutely, wonderful and delightful conversation.
Appreciate
even getting into the the rough edges of what we're going through right now.
To.
I like having those intellectual conversations. With
this grown ass conversation, girl.
Grown ass conversation with smart, funny dudes. That's my week right there. So I thank you for that. And the best way to find me, my website is veryfunnylady.com. And that is the portal to everything me. But I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If you follow me on Facebook, it's Facebook Fans. And my as I mentioned earlier, my social media game is tight, son.
Love it.
So if you're looking for something, equally funny and poignant from day to day, I'm the girl to follow.
That's for sure. For sure.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. And we'll see you. I'll see you at Dragon Con in just a
nerds.
See you at Dragon Con, nerd boy.
Yeah. So anybody else, come to Atlanta Labor Day weekend. I think you're doing a show on Friday, and I'm doing a show on Saturday. So at Skeptrack, the Skeptic Track at the Dragon Con, and then you're also hosting the science, some science track stuff.
Yeah, the Science of Wakanda. I'm the moderator on that. And that's the same day that they've gotten me to cosplay. I will be one of the residents of Wakanda.
Vibranium, motherfucker.
So I got to find me something that looks like a dashiki and throw it on.
So we're going to do 2 things real quick and get out of here. I want to say empathy. I'm going to say it every fucking week, bro. Empathy. You need empathy. That is the only way that the situation will get better. You have to start looking at other people's situations and respecting their situations. Now, what we forgot to do it last week, but you know this, Leighann, that Ian does great with impressions. So what we're gonna do is Ian's gonna pick whoever he wants to pick, but that person is gonna sign us off and take us out for this episode of Critical and Thinking. Go.
Oh fuck! I can't believe you did this to me. Hey. It's Jason Statham. And if you don't listen to Critical and Thinking, if you don't go find Leighann Lord on social media and look at her website, very funny lady, and maybe come and see us at Dragon Con and dress up like a fucking robot or something, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna fucking kick your ass.
Critical and thinking. Ty Barnett.
Ian Harris.
All right, take care, Leanne. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Bye.
See you.
That was awesome, bro.